All right. Well, welcome everybody. So today we're talking about optimizing your workflow in Brightspace via quizzes. So we have a pretty short list of features related to quizzes today. We'll start off with previewing a quiz. We'll look at how to preview the content as a student sees it, and we'll look at how to preview the question answers as well. Second up, we'll look at grading quizzes. And finally, we'll look at how to grant students a second attempt on a quiz, which is a pretty common thing that comes up. A bit of a note before we get started, we're going to be looking at a sandbox in Brightspace. And I just want you to note that the upper course menu will differ from what you see in your course. So right now we are looking at how your upper course menu will look. It will run from course home down to course admin. Going over to the sandbox, you'll see the upper menu kind of differs. All right, so up first is how do we preview a quiz? So step number one would be to click on content, and that will take you to this view, and you can choose the module that you want to navigate to. So our quiz is in week 1. I would click on week 1 and scroll down to find the quiz. So you'll want to click on the title of the quiz. And I recommend actually opening the quiz in a new tab. We'll see why that's useful in a second. But to open the quiz in a new tab, you would right-click on the title and choose Open Link in New Tab. So right-click on the title, Open in New Tab, and then you'll click over into the new tab that's opened. Alrighty, so here is our quiz. So you'll scroll down to where you see Quiz Setup and Preview. We'll use both of these today. First, let's use Preview. Preview takes you into what the student will see when they take the quiz. So we've clicked Preview, and you'll want to click Bypass Restrictions if you see this option. So I clicked Bypass Restrictions, and now I'll click Start Quiz. So here we are. We're in the quiz as the student will see it. I have question 1, 2, and 3. The first 2 are multiple choice. I can even take the quiz if I want to, as the student would take it. And that's about it. You can submit the quiz. As you see, though, there is no really good way to leave this preview. For whatever reason, Brightspace makes it really hard to leave the quiz preview without submitting the quiz. And if there's like 100 questions in the quiz, you don't want to have to go through and answer 100 questions just to leave the quiz. So by having this open in the new tab, I can just go X out of the quiz and go back to the tab where I had the module open.
So that isn't a student's quiz. That's just a generic, because each student has a random assortment of questions, right? So you're just talking about.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, okay. So that would be correct. So, and that does, Rose, that does depend. So for the general chemistries, for a lot of our courses, you're right. As that quiz is pulling a random assortment just as it would do for the students.
Okay.
A great question. And that's actually a great segue into the next step. And
thank you.
Yeah, and that's previewing all the questions and the associated answers. So to do so, we're going to do what we did before. We'll right-click on the quiz title, open in a new tab, And then we'll head down. Instead of preview, we're going to click quiz setup. And scrolling down, we're going to see the titles of the questions or the question pools. For a course like the general chemistries, clicking in, for example, Q1 will land me in a pool of questions that can be previewed. I believe that's correct. Mike can.
That's correct. You would see all the possible questions in each pool if you click into that section in your own course. Yep.
Now, as we have this more simple quiz set up, these are actually all individual standalone questions. So what you want to do to preview the answers will be to click into the question. It opens a new pop-out window. And on top, it shows how the question appears for the student. Scroll down, and this says when grading the question, it would appear as, and it denotes the correct answer. So just to recap, we clicked on quiz settings or quiz setup, right-clicked, open in a new tab, scroll down, quiz setup, scroll down again, and you'll choose the title and click on the title of the question. And then you have the answer preview. Okay, so those two relatively simple steps are good ways to preview the quiz from two angles. I'll hand it off to Mike to preview what it looks like for a student taking the quiz.
Okay, so we thought it would be useful to demonstrate what it looks like when a real student account goes through a quiz. So I'm logged into the same course that Tom was just in, except I have a student account right now. So let's say I'm a student and I want to go to week 1 and take the week 1 quiz. I see the quiz right here. I click the link. And the first thing I see is the description that you saw on the previous page, which is the upfront information. But then below you get to the quiz details, and it shows me when I'm taking it, how much time I'm allowed, whether I get more than one attempt or not. In this case, I've been granted a second attempt. And then it tells me a little bit about whether I can go back to the quiz or not. It does mention that there's a timer, but it hasn't begun yet. An important thing to note about timers is most of the time when we have set up a timer on a quiz, it keeps running even if a student leaves. If they close the browser, if they do anything like that, they don't get to pause it. It's, you get 15 minutes in this case from the very moment you click this start quiz button. So I'm a student, I'm ready to take my quiz. And here it looks just about as it looked for Tom, actually pretty much identically. So I'm going to select some answers here. There's one short answer, and I will hit the submit button. It hasn't actually submitted yet. I get one more prompt to let me know that I'm about to submit my quiz. This is where it would tell me if I had forgotten to select an answer. Although in that previous page, you probably saw most of those questions are mandatory. So I don't have the option of skipping them. This page, if I had skipped a few, this page would have told me, you're not done yet. Go back and finish your work before you submit. But I did finish them all. So I'm going to hit submit. I get a confirmation. I see most of the people here everybody here is from SPHP. And a lot of times it depends on the scenario, but some courses have quizzes where you do get to see answers afterwards. However, if you're taking a proctored exam, this is about what you would see. You wouldn't really see any feedback or any information yet. You certainly wouldn't see any of the answers or what you chose, because that obviously is an academic integrity issue. So that is, from the student experience, that's just about it until I get a grade. So I can't see any scores yet, because one of those questions was a short answer question that my instructor, Tom, will need to now grade.
And so we'll look at Mike, the student has submitted an attempt. Now I need to grade his short answer question. So we're going to demo how to do so from the gradebook. So up here, I'll click grades, which will take me into the gradebook. And in the grid, I'll find the title of the correct quiz, week 1 quiz. And this question mark here is what represents Mike's attempt. I know it's a little bit small. You can probably zoom in. So this question mark represents Mike's attempt. The red dot next to it represents the fact that I need to take some action. It is not yet assessed. If all the questions were just multiple choice in the quiz, the grade would just immediately enter the grade book. But because there was a short answer question, I'm seeing this red dot and no grade yet. All right, so I'm going to click on the attempt. It opens a pop-out window. This shows, this first window shows a completion summary. To assess Mike, we would want to click on the correct attempt. So use this drop-down menu and click attempt 1. All right, so now I'm viewing Mike's first attempt. Scrolling down, I will see his answers on all of the multiple choice questions. Scrolling further, we have question 2. And here we go. Now I see his answer for the short answer question. And here I'll be able to enter a grade to assess his short answer question. So I've given him full credit. And what I need to do is click publish. So I'm going to hit publish. And I'll X out of this assessment window and I'll refresh the gradebook. And what you'll notice is that the red dot will disappear next to his attempt. All right, so now zooming in to see his attempt, the question mark now, the red dot's cleared, he has a score. If you want to go back in and view Mike's attempt again, you can always click on the question mark, choose the attempt. And this is a great way to, if you need to go back in and give written feedback, more detailed written feedback on something you've already assessed, you'll see below each question and the score, you can expand to give written feedback. So now I've gone in and retroactively given some written feedback to Mike, and I'll need to push update. So that is how to assess a quiz that has an item in need of manual grading.
So would that have appeared in Quick Eval? Would that quiz have popped up as in Quick Eval also?
Yes, the quiz would pop up in Quick Eval. Unfortunately, for some reason, we are not seeing the Quick Eval tool in the sandbox. So it's tough for us to demo that. But
there's no problem going from there, and then it would all look the same. It would take you to the same place. And
yes, I believe the window that you would use when accessing through Quick Eval would look the same or similar to what we saw here.
Okay. And that would be a really easy way to, when you're talking with a student, to call their quiz up, go right to their name and then pop, because that's been driving me crazy in the office hours, to try to call a quiz up because they're asking about a specific question. Mm-hmm. So that looks really easy. Just right there.
Yeah, the view from, I think accessing the gradebook is a pretty nice way, because you can scroll down, locate the student's name, scroll over to the grade column you need, and click on the question mark.
Good. That's good to know.
Yep.
Excellent.
So we just have one more item, and that is how to grant an extra attempt to a student. So let's say the student started the week 6 quiz when they meant to start the week 5 quiz. And now the timer is running and they need you to reset that week 6 quiz. So we're going to navigate similar to how we did before. Go to the week in which the quiz is located. We'll enter the quiz. And as we did before, we'll click Quiz Setup. And this time, we're going to click over to the tab that reads Restrictions. So previously, when we looked at the question answers, we were in the Properties tab, and we had scrolled down. To grant an extra attempt, we'll click into Restrictions. Scrolling down, we will find Special Access. So what you're looking for is titled Special Access. And you'll want to add users to Special Access. Once you've clicked Add Users, you can scroll down to find a list of all possible students. Right now, Mike is the only student, so I would click his name and then go back up and click Override Attempts Allowed. Once you've clicked Override Attempts Allowed, you can see previously this drop-down menu was non-functional, but by clicking Override Attempts Allowed, it activates this box and I can choose how many attempts to give the student. So Mike had already been allowed 2 attempts, so I'm going to allow him 3 now. And I'll hit Apply. And then I'll just add Special Access.
If you are ever doing this for your own students and you want somebody to check it for you, or if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. You can just use the Report a Problem form and we'll get back to you ASAP.
We also ask that you be careful on this page because it is the complete setup for the quiz. There are other things that would change things for all students, and IDS handles that. So only going to Special Access is important.
Yep. The final note about when you grant a student a second attempt, something that sometimes gets lost is the student needs to submit their first attempt before they're able to start their second attempt. So even if they accidentally open the quiz and they need you to give them a second attempt, instruct them, okay, submit your first attempt and you'll be able to take it a second time. Okay, that basically brings us right to the end.
We did cover this, I think, in the grading webinar. Students can see their own scores by going to class progress, and we've made that available to them. So they also need to choose their attempt. So if they see a summary, they need to choose attempt 1, but that's a good place for them to go and see feedback if it's available.
Yep. So class progress, I think in your course menu will be under grades, I believe. Yep. Class progress. For the sandbox, we had it up top here. And so in Mike's case, I can see students will be listed. Clicking into this student, we see various summaries of the content they've visited, the grades they received, and then details by content type. All right. A final note is that we do have a Brightspace frequently asked questions. The frequently asked questions page, scrolling down, we do have some written tutorials on some of the content we've covered. Number 9 on the FAQ page is how do I preview a quiz? Attached to that item is a written guide in Google Doc form.
That FAQ page is also available if you click Contact IDS in the toolbar in any course.
Yes. Good note. So Contact IDS, right below where you have the report a problem and content revision request, we have Brightspace FAQ. And then resetting a student's quiz or granting them a second attempt, we also cover that in this Google document. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.